morning. Good morning. Welcome to the Center for Spiritual Living. I'm Petra Weldes, the spiritual director here, and I'm just delighted to be with you this morning. I just want to confess that I'm a little weary. We were at Solomar. There were 6 of us there, including Tracy Brown, our practitioner, who's also on the Leadership Council for Centers for Spiritual Living. 12 and 16-hour days for a week, and my flight didn't get in until 12:30 last night. So I just want to say thank you to Veronica. If she hasn't already left, she bailed me out with a class this morning. So thanks for being with her this morning so that I could just take a moment of break. Because as you may know, Tracy and I are offering an opportunity for conversation, dialogue, and healing after the service at 1 o'clock around all the stuff that's come up around the Trayvon Martin, George Zimmerman conversation. So we really want to invite you to join us with that. It's really important for us to hear each other and speak our feelings out and just be in a place of healing around that. And I wanted to be very present for that. So I want to thank Veronica for taking the class for me this morning. We are moving into August. Our topic for the month is a relaxed life. And I just thought it was hysterical that after this last week, I would be like, oh, yes, I'm not sure I'm prepared to talk about this. Like, what do they say? Physician, heal thyself, right? So I'll be listening carefully to what I have to say this morning. So it'll be good. But we have a very interesting book. It's sort of related, but not exactly. It spoke to me so much that I really wanted to share it with you guys. Our book of the month is called Quiet: The Power of the Introvert in an Extrovert World. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in our sharing this morning in the talk as we really explore that time of quiet. And for some of us, that quiet is actually a requirement for health and well-being. Well, the truth is, it's a requirement for all of us. And after this past week, I'm reminded of just what a requirement it is. So it's a good thing to be sharing this morning. I want to welcome any of you who are here for the first time. From whatever spiritual path or faith tradition you come, you're certainly welcome here. We're an open and affirming community, and we're just grateful that you decided to share your Sunday morning with us this morning.
This morning, we have a very special treat. All the way from Miami, Florida, former member of this community right here at CSLDallas, please welcome Mr. Michael Raphael. She drew a hallelujah.
world. But I believe that God is love, and love it moves within, all around and through you. Even in the darkest depths of night, if you go within, you can find the light of your truth and feel your spirit cry, hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah,
Thank you, Michael, Matt, Jonathan, and Andrew, thank you so much. I do actually believe that is currently my most favorite song in the whole wide world. So thank you for sharing that with us, Michael. What I notice is that when there's music like that, I don't know how you experience it, I experience it as a psychic bath. I do. I feel like my whole body has been washed, and things that were clinging to it have been released. And how important it is for us to have moments and times and ways and places in our life where we have that experience where we let go and allow ourselves to just be fully present with whatever is, present with the moment, present with life, and open and engaged. My experience is that's very hard to do when I am caught in what do we call it, the rat race, isn't it? The round of work, life, bills, kids, eating, coming home, going to bed, getting up in the morning. That constant round of life that we can so unconsciously become caught onto. And then it's just a cycle. And we just perpetuate it. We don't have those moments where we're just ripped open and just present. It always seems to me we come to this point in the year in August, and somewhere, some reason, some way, there's a theme about getting quiet, opening ourselves, finding a different rhythm in life, finding a way to allow ourselves to move, not just always at that same hurried pace, but to find those ways and places where we can open ourselves. I want to start with a reading from our annual theme journal, the Joyous Living Journal. Today is entitled Stopping the Wild Ride. There was a well-told story of a guy riding a horse at a full run through a town as if he knew where he was going, and he was going there fast. As he raced by, one of the onlookers yelled out, "Where are you going?" To which the rider yelled back, "I don't know, ask the horse." Sometimes in life, your thoughts, emotions, habits, and life situations can begin to start running in different directions, and you don't know where they're taking you. It's as if you are holding on for dear life on an out-of-control wild ride, hoping that it will end soon. and you'll get a break. And sometimes that's what it feels like, doesn't it? We're just hanging on for dear life, trying to get through the emails and through the busyness and through the doingness. And as I was reflecting on this morning, I was thinking about all the ways in which I have, in this last week, really engaged in, being busy at a Silmar, which is our annual conference that we go to. There's a lot of work that's done and spiritual work that's done, time to be together with our national, international community. And wow, I worked 12 and 16-hour days. And yet in between, I found moments to walk on the beach. I found moments to walk on the boardwalk. I went out and had a couple of really lovely meals with some friends, and I got to listen to some amazing music, hear a few moments of some amazing speakers, and finding that rhythm. That's what makes it rich. So how do we get off the merry-go-round? How do we stop the wild ride? How do we grab the reins of our lives so that we can actually participate in it and not just have it be a runaway train? So I've been reflecting on this for quite a while now, and I've come up with this, maybe a way for us to look at it. And I think of it as this way. We're either running from, running in place, or running to in our lives. And so I want to use that as a way of exploring this notion that we can move into a more relaxed life if we can stop the wild ride. For me, the wild ride starts with this idea that we're always running. And most often, we're running from things. We call it the geographic cure. I don't like it here, I'm just going to run away to someplace else. Surely it's better over there in Los Angeles or in New York or down the street or around the corner. We have the change relationship cure, get a new job cure. Could I just not be where I am? I'd like to be someplace else with someone else doing something else. Surely it's better there. This is called running from, and we are not really moving towards anything. What we're trying to do is get away from something. And so we're not actually present with what is. We're not dealing with what is. And in this hectic running from, man, it's like we're riding that horse. Who knows? Who knows where we're going to end up? Who knows where it's going to take us? Who knows where we're going? Another way that we engage in this running from behavior, we run from ourselves by blaming you. Yes? Because if I get triggered about something, we find ourselves having an emotional reaction to something, we get all wigged out about something, upset about something, it is just much easier to run from my own participation and my own part in that. And so I can have a big drama about it, have a big upset about it, and blame you or the other person or the economy or the thing out there and all those things that we do. We run from ourselves. We run from our unwillingness to speak the truth, from our unwillingness to feel our feelings. And so we run to the next thing, to do the next thing, and we find ways of covering up those experiences or avoiding them or pretending that they don't exist. And so we run to the next new thing. And we run away from the hard conversation or the openness, the intimacy, or the willingness to find ourselves vulnerable or just present with what is. Running from our lives. And this round of running, this is one of the things that causes us to say, oh, I can't sit in meditation. Monkey mind, and there's too much going on, and I can't sit still. Some of that is simply because we are in the habit of running. We're in the habit of this constant motion. Now, the reason that I coupled the book this month with our topic for this month, Quiet, the Power of the Introvert in an Extroverted World, is because part of the thesis of this book is that our culture today is an extroverted culture, and it rewards extroverted behavior. We're supposed to be able to sell ourselves at any moment. We're supposed to be going for our lives, putting ourselves out there, and making making ourselves big, and being very present in all of the experiences. And we have to be able to talk to people and show up in a way that really allows us to be noticed. And that's how you get ahead, and that's how you're successful, and that's how you how you create a business that grows, and you find promotions and those kinds of things, because you look like an extrovert, whether you actually are one or not. Our culture has rewarded extroversion, and that has become so ubiquitous that now has become the way in which we organize our schools. Children, even at the age of 4 and 5, are required to sit in work groups, and they're to work together. Everything they have to do together. They're not allowed to go into the corner and do it by themselves. And in our companies and corporations, everything has to be done by a team, which is not necessarily bad, but we don't all work that way, and it doesn't invite the moment of quiet, of reflection, of revelation, the opportunity to actually go within and listen and be with ourselves and the divine as it's revealing itself to us. Actually, for an introvert, working in a group like that actually stifles creativity. It doesn't bring creativity forward. That's for an extrovert. And so we have really invited ourselves into a culture. We've created this culture where we're always on. It's the culture of the celebrity. It's the culture of the salesperson. That's what keeps our economy going. You have to be on. It's exhausting, isn't it? Partly it's exhausting because, one of the reasons it's exhausting is because none of us operate that way. We actually have rhythms. We have rhythms to our own life. We have rhythms to the year, rhythms to the week. We have daily circadian rhythms. And every one of our circadian rhythms are a little bit different. We have rhythms through which we operate when we are wholly ourselves, and we're allowed to be that. Part of this started back in the Industrial Revolution. Henry Ford, he built the assembly line, a car in every driveway. What a great leveling and democratizing idea. And yet, to have that happen in the Industrial Revolution, he brought out the assembly line. Everybody does that one thing, and then the other person does the next thing, and then the other person does the next thing, and that's all you do all day. Day after day after day. And that way of thinking about how to be engaged, and so you can never stop, you can never slow down. Remember that Lucille Ball? Remember that? Right? What was that? What was it? The chocolate. Right? And it's going by, and she can't do it right, so she starts to stuff it in her bra, and she's eating it. She doesn't know what to do with it because she can't keep up, because the machine, right? The machine has a pace. The machine has a pace. The machine never stops. It has a pace. It has a pace. It just keeps going. That's the machine. And we are not designed to be that way. We actually require quiet. Those of us who are introverts, we require a whole lot more quiet. But even our extroverts, we require quiet. It is that moment of meditation, or just the simple moment of reflection or relaxation. I remember an executive coach said to me one day, as I was working, this was a few years ago, and she said, "So when do you close the door and prop your feet up on your desk?" What? Are you serious? She said, "Yeah, just prop your feet up on your desk and rock back in your chair." And I said, "Are you crazy? My dad would roll over in his grave, lazy bones. What are you doing?" And she said, "Well, you would take that time to reflect and think about the center, think about the work, and just ruminate on it, just contemplate about it, just let it roll around and see what would emerge. Just put your feet up on the desk for 30 minutes. Do you know how many emails I have to answer, phone calls I have to answer, people I have to talk to, things I have to do? Isn't that what we do? Gotta get going, gotta get going, gotta do this, gotta do that, got all this stuff going on. And so we don't take the time. And I don't mean only the time to meditate. We actually don't take the time to stop and to just contemplate our lives. So no wonder the horse doesn't know where it's going, because we don't have the time to decide. We haven't ruminated on it enough. We haven't reflected on it enough. We haven't taken the time to just be quiet. And so allowing ourselves, all of us have an introverted side. Some of us are very introverted. Some of us are only a little introverted. All of us have that side. And this book really gives us permission to be that, and really invites us to explore that part of us that loves to work on our own, to sit and think about things and daydream and imagine and be with those, with that way of engaging with our life. So that we can then decide, take the reins of our life and decide where the horse is going to go. So we're not running from things all the time. So the second place is, the second idea here is this notion of running in place. I think sometimes we have, because we're trying to deal with this busy, hectic, going thing all the time, that then we decide, oh God, I'm just going to plop down in front of the television, I'm just going to chill. So running from gives us the illusion of progress or of motion, when in fact we're just running around on this wild horse. But there's an illusion of progress or motion. Sitting still, vegging out, there's an illusion of quiet. But it's an illusion, because we're actually engaged. So let me give you a couple of just extraordinary statistics. The average person, the average adult today spends 34 hours a week in front of the television. The average adult today spends 32 hours a week in front of the computer, not working. Watching a movie, shopping, reading the news, those kinds of things. 34 hours on television, 32 hours on the internet. 3 days. Now, if you think about, we have to sleep. We're supposed to sleep 8 hours a day. In the U.S., we are chronically sleep deprived because we're spending so much time watching TV and on the computer, and we're doing it late at night. We're playing games, whatever it is. Whatever it is we're doing. We actually are a sleep deprived culture. We're running on 6 to 7 hours of sleep a night. So let's just give us the benefit of the doubt and say we're sleeping 7 hours a night, 7 days a week. That's 49 hours. It's another 2 days that we're sleeping. 3 days in front of the television and in front of the computer, and 2 days sleeping. How many days do we have left over to live? To work, raise our children, have a relationship, deal with our finances, go shopping, get an education, creatively express our lives, do our spiritual practice, have a spiritual community and spiritual relationships, and contribute to the world. 2 days. We try to cram that into 2 days. It's no wonder we're stressed out. It's no wonder that we're on the rat race, because we're trying to cram all of that in. 2 days worth of work. And we think that this quote-unquote leisure time that we're spending in front of the television and in front of the computer is somehow renewing us, when it's not. It's the illusion of quiet. We're just running in place because we're still being stimulated and we're still being engaged, and we're not actually being quiet. Being with ourselves, being with our thoughts, sitting with a friend or a loved one, watching the sunset or sharing a coffee, or just being with what is, just being present, just allowing ourselves to be open, to be in the moment, to feel ourselves moved by music. And when we don't do that enough, and we try to cram all of this stuff into 2 days, they call that stress. And what happens is that our hormones and our cortisol levels rise to such a degree that we begin to actually tear down the body temple. And we cannot then fully be the vehicle for the love and the light that we are intended to be. We can't give the gift that we are intended to give. We can't be the presence of love and the divine manifester in the world. We just can't do that because we're exhausted. We need our quiet. We need the rhythm of life. You know that beautiful, just extraordinary wisdom that comes from Ecclesiastes? Time for everything. A time for every purpose under heaven. There's a time to work and there's a time to rest. There's a time to plan and be all engaged, and then there's a time to be quiet. There's a time to move out, be extroverted, sell ourselves, be on, and then there's a time to retreat and withdraw and be with ourselves. And learning to value that. And many of us who are introverted were made wrong for it. And we're told we were too quiet, too shy, we were bookworms. We had our nose in the book. We should get out there and engage in life. We needed to work in a team, and we needed to get together and collaborate. Some of us don't relate to that. And some of us just have forgotten that we're not only extroverts, but there is that quiet part of us that needs to be nurtured as well. So we don't want to run from, we don't want to run in place. We don't want to live the illusion of movement and progress. We don't want to live the illusion of quiet, but we want to live that rhythm of movement and release, movement and release. And I call that part running to something, running to our lives. Well, we can't run to anything if we haven't taken the time to decide where we're going. This actually requires us to have moments of reflection, moments of contemplation. What do I want to do? Where do I want to go? How do I want this to unfold? What point on the map am I aiming towards? And that all of that is that ruminating time, which then we can say, okay, this, and then we move. We've made a decision. We can run towards something. Sit down and stop your wild gallop through life by breathing into each situation where it feels to be moving too swiftly for you. Slow it down in your awareness and regain your composure. Take the reins and redirect it to the pace of your choosing. The pace of your choosing. To run to is to be at the pace of our own choosing. To set aside time for true vacation. To really, honest to God, take a break. Unplug. Get off the Facebook, stop being on the emails, to take that break, to find those times where we can relax, enjoy it, and savor the moment. I had this beautiful opportunity to go out with some friends while I was at Asilomar, which is on the Monterey Peninsula in California. We went to Monterey to a wonderful restaurant, which I had been there before because they had the most amazing scallops. So I had escargot, and I had scallops, and then a dessert souffle, a lovely bottle of wine with these friends, and we sat there and we ate for almost 2 hours. Oh my God. That's how you know that we live in the manifest body of God. It's very different than I'm in such a hurry I'm going to drive through McDonald's, isn't it?
Okay.
Savoring life. We're so busy, we're in such a hurry. When was the last time you actually truly savored a meal? savored a conversation, savored a piece of music, savored a moment, a sunset, just a piece of chocolate melting in your mouth instead of 2 bites and it's swallowed. Okay, that hit somebody. Whatever it is, right? Running too is that being in that place of rhythm where we have, and yes, absolutely, there are moments of push and direction, and let's go, and let's do it, and let's be on, and let's have it happen. But they are coupled with, or there's that other time where we're sitting back. And we're actually enjoying our accomplishments, enjoying our contribution, enjoying the journey, how many of us have heard over and over again. It's not the destination, it's the journey. But if we're so busy with the illusion of movement by running from, and the illusion of quiet by running in place, we're not present for the journey. And good, bad, or indifferent in the journey. Sometimes the journey that we're on, when we can let go of the running from and we're really present in it, sometimes the journey we're in feels like a roller coaster. Whee! So let's ride the ride. Yeah? Let's ride the ride because we're present with it. And we're not holding ourselves back from it. We're not wishing it were something different. Then we can actually ride the roller coaster of our lives, present, engaged. And there are highs and lows. There's the big drop, and then there's the quiet, and then there's the next go. I love this time of year because it reminds me of those long, leisurely summer days as a kid. Do you remember those? Man. Kick the can till you couldn't see the can anymore. I used to love to take my blanket out in the afternoons. My blanket, my little teddy bear, and my book. I would sit out there for hours, just absorbed. What did you do as a kid that filled up those long, endless summer days? When my son was young, I wouldn't let him watch television. I kicked him out of the house and I said, good, go be bored. You'll be more creative. Right? Because if we're not having the illusion of quiet in front of the video game, and in front of the television, in front of the Facebook, and in front of all that stuff, we get bored and we become creative. Because out of that quiet springs something. Springs our contribution, our sense of fulfillment, that which we actually want to do. That's the running to part. Do you see? So living a relaxed life is allowing ourselves to have a rhythm. Sometimes the rhythm is a daily rhythm. We have to look at that. We have to look at our weekly rhythm. Sometimes it's a year-long rhythm. Sometimes there's a big, long push and then a quiet time. We also have a rhythm of longer times in our lives, the rhythm of a job or the rhythm of raising children. So we have all these nested rhythms that we can engage with in our lives if we'll listen to them, pay attention to them. And allowing ourselves to be in this rhythm invites us into our deepest maturity, it seems to me. Because we don't need things to be different than they are. We just allow ourselves to be present to what is, and be engaged with it in an open and full way. So I want to close with this really amazing poem that I found, and it's written by Charlie Chaplin. He wrote it for his 70th birthday. And it captured me because the biggest reason I think that we're running and that we're stressed and that we're always pushing at this pace is because we don't like to be with ourselves. That's what it is to be quiet. Not necessarily to sit in meditation and do something because now I'm going to meditate, which is just another thing to do, but to just be quiet. To enjoy our own company, And we're running so fast because we're not comfortable in our own skin. And again, one of the reasons why I picked this book is because it invites us to be comfortable in our own skin, exactly and precisely who we are. And then we're not running from it or covering it up. It actually is the place that our movement in life comes from. So this poem is entitled, As I Began to Love Myself. It's a self-love poem. So this will be our closing meditation. And so I just invite you to go within and listen to these beautiful words by Charlie Chaplin. As I began to love myself, I found that anguish and emotional suffering are only warning signs that I was living against my own truth. Today, I know this is authenticity. As I began to love myself, I understood how much it can offend someone as I try to force my desires on this person, even though I knew the time was not right and the person was not ready for it. And even though the person was me. Today, I call it respect. As I began to love myself, I stopped craving for a different life. And I could see that everything that surrounded me was inviting me to grow. Today, I call it maturity. As I began to love myself, I understood that in any circumstance, I am in the right place at the right time. And everything happens at exactly the right moment. So I can be calm. Today, I call it self-confidence. As I began to love myself, I quit stealing my own time, and I stopped designing huge projects for the future. Today, I only do what brings me joy and happiness, things I love to do and that make my heart cheer, and I do them in my own way and in my own rhythm. Today, I call it simplicity. As I began to love myself, I freed myself of anything that is not good for my health. Food, people, things, situations, and everything that drew me down and away from myself. At first, I called this attitude a healthy egoism. Today, I know it is love of oneself. As I began to love myself, I quit trying to always be right. And ever since, I was wrong less of the time. Today I discovered that is modesty. As I began to love myself, I refused to go on living in the past and worry about the future. Now I only live for the moment where everything is happening. Today I live each day, day by day, and I call it fulfillment. As I began to love myself, I recognized that my mind can disturb me and it can make me sick. But as I connected it to my heart, my mind became a valuable ally. Today I call this connection the wisdom of the heart. So we no longer need to fear arguments, confrontations, or any kind of problems with ourselves or others. Even stars collide. And out of their crashing, new worlds are born. Today, I know this is life. So today, let us know that this is our life. That we live in the rhythm of our own lives. We relax in the quiet and the comfort of our own skin, recognizing that who we are is precious, and that we can move into our lives from this quiet place, grounded, centered, relaxed. Life flows fully and freely from it. So we live live a relaxed life in the rhythm of love, in the rhythm of truth, in the rhythm of joy, and we call it good. We let it be.